In the 19th of September, 2022, Westminster Abbey, London. Outside, the crowd stood 6 deep along the Mall. Inside, 1,000 dignitaries sat in stillness. And there, walking behind the coffin of the most photographed woman of the 20th century, was Catherine, Princess of Wales. She wore black. She always wears black at these moments, but around her throat, catching the cold September light, was something that stopped royal historians mid-breath. That necklace, those pearls. The Japanese pearl choker, a piece the Queen had worn only a handful of times in her entire 70-year reign. A piece she had once described as physically uncomfortable. A piece she had quietly tucked away for decades. And yet there it was. Not on Camilla, not on Princess Anne, on Catherine. No announcement was made, no press release. The palace said nothing. But those who understood the language of royal jewelry, and it is a language, one spoken entirely in silence, understood exactly what they were watching. This was not grief. This was a coronation in miniature. Before she died, Queen Elizabeth II spent years making a series of quiet, almost invisible decisions. Decisions that would determine who would carry the weight of the monarchy into the next century. She didn't write a manifesto. She didn't call a press conference. She moved jewelry from one vault to another. She placed specific pieces around specific necks at specific moments. And piece by piece, she built a case. The most valuable, the most historically loaded, the most symbolically freighted objects in the private royal collection, estimated by experts at over £87 million, began finding their way to one woman. What follows is not a list of pretty things. It is the story of a transfer of power conducted entirely in diamonds and pearls, a 70-year strategy, and the woman chosen to carry it forward. If you find yourself wanting to know more as this story unfolds, leave a comment below. Tell us which piece unsettles you most. This channel runs on those conversations. To understand what Elizabeth gave away, you must first understand what she had. Over a 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II accumulated what experts describe as the most significant private jewelry collection ever held by a single individual in the modern era. Not the crown jewels, those belong to the nation, locked in the Tower of London behind bulletproof glass, insured by no private firm on earth. We are talking about her personal collection, pieces she owned, pieces she could give away. That collection comprised over 200 individual pieces, 98 brooches, 34 pairs of earrings, 14 watches, 46 necklaces, 15 rings, and 5 pendants worth several hundred million euros in total. Some came as diplomatic gifts. In 1947, the Nizam of Hyderabad, once described on the cover of Time magazine as the richest man in the world, instructed Cartier London to let Princess Elizabeth choose anything she liked as a wedding present. She selected a platinum necklace set with over 300 diamonds, originally designed in the 1930s, and a floral diamond tiara. The necklace alone, a cascade of emerald-cut and pear-shaped stones in a platinum latticework, is today estimated to be worth more than £66 million, making it arguably the most valuable piece of royal jewelry in private hands. Some pieces came through inheritance, passed hand to hand across generations of Windsor women, like a chain that never breaks. The Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara, 73 diamonds set in platinum arches, each supporting a perfectly matched pearl, was made for Queen Mary in 1913. It moved to Elizabeth. It moved to Diana. After Diana died, it retreated into the vault. Then, it moved to Catherine. And some pieces arrived through sheer political necessity. The Japanese pearl choker, the very necklace Catherine wore to the funeral, was born from a state visit in 1975. The 4-strand pearl choker is fastened with an ornate central diamond clasp, made by Garrard, the crown jeweler. The rare pearls were gifted to Her Majesty during her first visit to Japan with Prince Philip. Protocol demanded they be made into something wearable, and so they were. The Queen wore it rarely. She found it constricting, but she kept it. She always kept things. Because Elizabeth understood something that most people do not. Jewelry is not decoration. It is record. It is testimony. Every piece in that collection was a document of an alliance, a grief, a debt, a promise. And when she was gone, someone would have to carry all of those documents forward. The question of who would inherit what began being asked the moment Elizabeth's health began declining. Inside royal circles, the answer was understood long before the public started speculating. Royal expert Katie Nicholl explained that there is a hierarchy in all of this. The Queen Consort really gets first choice of the Queen's jewellery. And after that is Princess of Wales, of course, Kate. Camilla first, Kate second. But hierarchy and preference are two different things. Radar Online reported that the Queen's decision for Kate to inherit the lion's share of her jewellery led to resentment from Camilla. Kate is clearly the family favourite, an insider said. She'd never say it, of course, but it's one of the reasons Camilla resented Kate. Think about what that means. Two women, both future queens. One, the wife of a king already crowned, the other, waiting. And between them a dead woman's diamonds, and the question of whose hands they were truly meant for. Ingrid Seward, editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, said that the Queen's plans for her jewellery had been sorted and organised some time ago, and that Kate, as the future queen, would receive the lion's share. Not after Camilla's death, not as a distant inheritance, the lion's share, now. While Kate was still in her 40s, while Charlotte was still a child, while the monarchy needed urgently a face the public could trust. And Meghan? Royal expert Katie Nicholl was direct. The Duchess of Sussex, I'm sure, will come in for some jewellery at some point, but she is much further down the pecking order. Much further down. By the time Elizabeth died in September 2022, the choices had already been made. The Queen had moved pieces out of the vault and into Kate's life years earlier, slowly, deliberately, as if staging an argument she would never be alive to deliver in words. To track the pieces Elizabeth gave Kate is to move through a museum of unspoken grief. The Cambridge Lover's Knot Tiara, made in 1913 for Queen Mary, worn by Elizabeth, then placed around the head of Diana Spencer on the night she sat alone in a tiara at a state banquet, 3 years into a marriage that was already, quietly, over. Diana wore that tiara 17 times before she died. After 1997, it returned to the vault. Elizabeth kept it there for over a decade, as if the thing itself needed to grieve. Then, in 2015, she lent it to Kate. The Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara, initially lent to Princess Diana and returned to the Queen after her death, is now worn by Catherine, Princess of Wales. Kate has worn it at every major state banquet since. She has made it hers. But the tiara remembers. Platinum and diamonds, do not forget. The Japanese pearl choker. Elizabeth received those pearls in 1975. She disliked the necklace. Too tight, too restricting. The necklace features 4 strings of the finest cultured pearls with a central diamond clasp by court jeweler Garrard. She wore it a handful of times, then set it aside. In 1982, she lent it to Diana. On Diana's long neck, the choker found its moment photographed at dozens of events. It became synonymous with her bold 1980s glamour. Then Diana died. The choker vanished again. For the Queen's state funeral, the Princess of Wales wore the 4-strand pearl choker with a diamond clasp alongside a set of Bahrain pearl drop earrings, both part of the late monarch's personal collection. 1 necklace, 2 women, one of them dead at 36 inches a Paris tunnel, one of them a future queen. And a piece of jewellery that travelled between them like a river between 2 worlds. The Strathmore Rose tiara. Commissioned by her father for her wedding to the Duke of York, it was the personal signature of the woman who would become Queen Mother. She wore it often in her early married years, before 1936 changed everything. Before her husband's older brother walked away from the throne for a woman he loved and pushed her husband, her quiet, stammering, terrified husband, into the centre of history. After that, the light floral roses felt wrong. Empire requires a different crown. The tiara went into the vault and stayed there for nearly 90 years. In November 2023, at a state banquet at Buckingham Palace, Catherine stepped into the room wearing it. The room full of people trained since birth not to react visibly to anything reacted. The symbolism was impossible to miss. Like the Queen Mother before her, Catherine was not born into royalty. She arrived, and now she wore the crown that marked a woman's arrival. The royal family order. Unlike tiaras or necklaces meant to dazzle, the royal family order features a miniature portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, set in diamonds, mounted on yellow silk, given only to female members of the royal family. Receiving it is a mark of extraordinary trust and esteem. It is not a public declaration. There is no ceremony. The Queen placed it in your hands privately, and you knew what it meant. She had decided, in her own judgment, that you were trustworthy. That the institution would be safe with you. Elizabeth gave it to Kate. She did not give it to Meghan, at least. Not in the same context. Not with the same weight. There is no official explanation. There never is. The Nizam of Hyderabad necklace. In the 1940s, as Europe was still sifting through rubble, the Nizam of Hyderabad was sitting on a personal fortune, estimated at the equivalent of billions in today's money. His treasury reportedly containing over £100 million in gold bullion, vaults of loose diamonds, and rooms of jewels stored in clay pots. He was a man so wealthy that he reportedly used the Jacob diamond, a 185-carat stone, as a paperweight. In 1947, when Princess Elizabeth was set to marry Prince Philip, he ordered Cartier London to let the princess pick any two things she wanted from their collection. She selected a platinum necklace studded with over 300 diamonds. Elizabeth wore that necklace at her first official portraits as Queen. It appeared on the banknotes British people held in their hands every day. It became, quietly, one of the most recognized pieces of jewelry in the world. The Princess of Wales was lucky enough to wear the Queen's incredibly sentimental Nizam of Hyderabad necklace when she attended a black tie reception at the National Portrait Gallery in 2014, re-wearing it at a Buckingham Palace reception for the Diplomatic Corps in 2019. This was not a casual loan. This was one of the most valuable objects in the private royal collection, estimated to be worth more than £66 million, placed around the throat of a woman who, 5 years earlier, had still been Catherine Middleton from Berkshire. The message was not subtle. The message was never meant to be subtle. By the time Queen Elizabeth II died on the afternoon of the 8th of September 2022, in her bedroom at Balmoral Castle alone except for Charles, who arrived just in time, the transfer was essentially complete. Kate was expected to inherit a jewelry collection comprised of 300 pieces worth $110 million from the Queen's personal jewelry collection pieces that belonged specifically to the Queen and not the Crown. 300 pieces, a life's accumulation, the gifts of emperors and presidents, the heirlooms of queens who died centuries ago, the pearls of diplomacy and the diamonds of love. All of it moving, slowly and deliberately, toward one woman. The royal experts who covered the funeral noted something interesting. In the days immediately after Elizabeth's death, as the royal family gathered for receptions and ceremonies and the long, exhausting rituals of public mourning, Catherine appeared repeatedly wearing pieces from the Queen's collection. Kate wore the Queen's favorite pearls at a state reception on September 16, and later wore the Japanese pearl choker for the Queen's funeral on September 19. She was making an argument, quietly, in the language she had been taught. What remains in the vault, now the pieces still unclaimed, still sleeping, tells its own story. The Empress, Maria Fyodorovna, sapphire choker, a piece that survived the Russian Revolution, smuggled out of a collapsing empire as the Romanovs were being killed in a basement in Yekaterinburg. It made its way, through channels never fully explained, to Queen Mary. Elizabeth inherited it. She wore it briefly as a bracelet, found it unwieldy, and set it aside. Princess Anne wears it occasionally now, but historians who study Catherine's jewelry choices note something. She has been steadily building a visual identity around sapphires, the engagement ring that once belonged to Diana, the sapphire fringe earrings from the Queen Mother's collection, the layered necklaces in deep blue. They have begun calling her the Sapphire Princess. That choker is still waiting. The Indian circlet designed by Prince Albert for Queen Victoria, reserved by law for queens and queens consort, has been worn publicly exactly once since the 1950s. It sits in the dark ruby and diamond arches catching no light, waiting for a head that can hold the weight of its history. And there is the quiet question that no journalist has fully answered, that the palace will never address directly. Did Elizabeth plan all of this? The royal historians say yes. Ingrid Seward, editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, believed that Queen Elizabeth II knew who was getting what jewelry long in advance, rather than making last-minute changes. The loans came years before the death. The royal family order was given privately, without announcement. The Nizam necklace appeared on Kate's throat in 2014, 8 years before the Queen died. The Strathmore Rose was resurrected in 2023, more than a year after the funeral was over. This was not improvisation, this was architecture. Elizabeth built a monarchy that would outlast her. She understood that institutions survive not through declarations, but through symbols, and that symbols require custodians, and that custodians must be chosen carefully and trained over decades, and that the training must happen through gestures so subtle that the woman being trained might not even realize what is happening to her. 12 years. That is what the jewelry bought. The objects Elizabeth gave were not gifts in any ordinary sense. They were lessons. Each one came with a history she would have to carry, a tragedy she would have to dignify, a ghost she would have to honor without flinching. The choker that Diana made iconic and then left behind. The tiara that nearly broke a queen mother before it made her. The necklace that came from a man whose treasury no longer exists, in a country that is no longer the same. From an era when the world still bent toward London. Catherine wears these things at state banquets, at coronations, at funerals. She wears them in the cold morning light of Remembrance Sunday, and in the gold-lit rooms of Buckingham Palace, and in the back of official cars moving through streets lined with people who will never know her name, but will recognize, in a half-conscious way, that something important is being preserved. Elizabeth wore the imperial state crown only once a year, at the opening of Parliament, and always removed it quickly. She said it hurt to wear. The weight of 2,868 diamonds, 17 sapphires, 11 emeralds, 269 pearls, and 4 rubies, pressed down on a woman who had carried the weight of an empire for 7 decades. When they removed the crown, at the end of her funeral, when the cortege passed through the abbey and the cameras caught that final moment, the orb and scepter removed from the coffin and placed on the altar. One journalist in the press gallery wrote in her notebook, a single line. She put it down at last. But somewhere in London, in a building most people will never enter, in a room most people will never see, a set of drawers lined in aged velvet holds what remains. And one woman is still learning what it means to carry them.